Why, hello. It's me, Boston. If you're new here, nice to meet you. If you're a coming back friend, hi. Long time no see. Yes, I'm back. I haven't been uploading anything. Yes, I know. But I did try to make a video and then, yeah, let's just say I had some technical difficulties. But I'm here now. So I have prepared some funny mistakes that I have made while I was learning languages. And I have learned Ethiopian, English, and Korean. So basically, all those three languages, of course, I have like there's been mistakes and stuff, but the most recent language that I have learned was Korean, and that's the one that I remember most mistakes that I have made in. So I'm just gonna tell you about it. So at the beginning, when I was learning Korean, I had this friend who I have met on this app called Hello Talk. So we decided to meet each other in real life. So yeah, we've become close, and then we would go out to eat food. Did we eat food? I don't remember, but we would eat coffee and stuff. Eat coffee? I mean, drink coffee. Wow. I'm thinking in Korean. Wow. Okay. Yeah, just in case you didn't get that, it's because Korean people, well, in Korean, you say you ate instead of saying drinking. People say drinking too, but then at the same time, people say eat instead of drinking. So, meh. Anywho, so one day, we meet after I finished class, and then she's finished class. She used to go to English classes. So yeah, so we met up, and then I wanted to kind of impress her, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a sentence or something. So we met as soon as I started learning. So it was kind of like a month, maybe, into learning Korean. So basically, I didn't have that much like to make a sentence. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a sentence. So I wanted to say, 우리 밥 먹자. But what came out was 우리 밥 먹자. 우리 is the word for duck. So you're supposed to say 우리. So when she responded to what I said, she was like, oh! And I'm like, wait, what? And then I panicked because I thought I said something messed up. And then she's like, Ori! And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, Ori, it's duck. I actually panicked, like before she could explain something. I just panicked. And then I was like, oh, no, that's not what I meant. And then when she said it's a duck, I'm like, ooh, thank God. Because I actually thought that it was a bad word. So we kind of laughed about it, and then she was like, wow, you've done good. Like, you actually made a sentence. So that was fun. So again on Hello Talk, then I met this friend. This friend came to the same city that I live in. Like, yeah, he came to study English. So he was like, so we were talking and stuff, like just chatting. And then, so there's a call function on Hello Talk. So he's like, can I call you? And I'm like, okay. No, actually. So we were chatting for like a week or so. And then, so he was like, oh, he's out with friends and stuff. And then after me asking him what he's doing, and then he's like, he's out with friends. I'm like, oh, you made friends already? So it's only been a week that he's been in England. And I was like, really? You have friends already? That's nice. So I was kind of happy for him, because I was like, because most people that I have met would have said like, oh, they don't have friends and stuff, like, and yeah, it's kind of difficult to make friends here. So I was like, oh, good for you. Okay, you have friends. That's nice. He's like, no, 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 they're all Korean. I'm like, what? Oh, you met Korean friends here? I'm like, okay. Because I had no idea in my city that there was Korean people. So, so he's like, yeah, they are Korean friends. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, oh, we are drinking soju. And soju is Korean beverage, if you don't know. So, alcohol beverage. Alcoholic beverage? Okay. Alcoholic beverage. so, so, so I'm like, oh, okay, you can find that here too. And then he's like, yeah. So basically, I'm really ignorant to everything that you can find here at that moment because I don't really know anything. And also, I don't drink alcohol, so there's no way I would know. So, so he's like, oh, yeah, we're drinking soju and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then he's like, can I call you? And I'm like, okay. And then I'm panicking because I haven't spoken on the phone with somebody. So basically, the way he was texting, it seemed like he was an okay, like intermediate level English speaker. And I was like, okay. So I was kind of panicking. I was like, oh, what if he speaks in Korean and I don't understand anything? Oh my God, oh my God. But I thought also at the same time I felt comfortable because I'm like, okay, we're texting in English most of the time, so it's okay. Then he calls me, and then after 2 seconds of speaking English, he just switches to Korean, and don't even ask me how I understood what he was talking about. Because at that moment, I actually didn't think my Korean was good enough for me to understand what he's saying. So so he switches to Korean and then he's like, 너 한국 남자 좋아하지? And I'm like, huh? I'm like, I like all people. And then he's like, no, 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 no. You are learning Korean because you want a Korean man, right? And I'm like, no. And he's like, but I'm like, why? And then he's like, because all foreign people learn Korean because they want a Korean man or a Korean woman. I'm like, no, that's not the case for me. I'm just learning because I'm trying to challenge myself. And then he's like, oh, then completely ignores what I said and then proceeds on to going on and on about how he has this tall and handsome and muscular friend who is in the special forces. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay. Huh? But it was so ridiculous that I didn't even know how to respond to that. I'm like, 저는 상관없어요. So what I think I'm saying is, I am not interested. But what is coming out of my mouth is, it doesn't matter. So it's like, yeah, it's okay. He doesn't have to be handsome and tall and all of that. I'll take him anyway. So what I think I'm saying in my head is 관심 없어요. But then 상관없어요 keeps coming out. And I keep saying that. And then I got frustrated because he was not listening to what I'm saying and he kept on pushing his friend on me and I'm like, okay, peace, I have to go. I can't continue this conversation. And I got so awkward and then he didn't speak as good of level of English as I thought he did. So I'm like, so it's like awkwardness on top of awkwardness because one, I couldn't speak a good level of Korean, and two, it was a weird situation. Anybody would be awkward in that kind of situation. Have you ever been in that type of situation? I don't like awkward situations. I don't know. It's weird. Anywho, so I'm like, okay, bye. I have to go. And then he's like, oh, okay. Then I hang up the phone and then I'm like, what the heck was that? Why he's trying to set me up with his friend, I don't understand. So I'm like, okay. Then, yeah, I never really spoke to him because I don't think it was because I didn't want to speak to him. It was just because, I don't know. I think he just didn't. Maybe he thought it was awkward and stuff. So, yeah, he never really messaged me and I never really messaged him back. So I was like, okay. So, third occasion where I where I made a funny mistake was another friend who I who I have met on Hello Talk, and this friend was a younger friend, and I don't know, he was into some hip hop stuff, and he was just strange. Anyway, yeah, he thought he was the funniest guy, but he it was, I don't know. Never mind. It's a different story for another day. Uh, but we were talking to each other for like, I don't know, 4 weeks ish. No, 3 to 4 weeks ish. And so he didn't like, so we would switch from English to Korean and stuff. And this was just recent actually. It was back last year around November. So I spoke fluent Korean at the time, obviously. So he felt comfortable, like, switching from English to Korean and stuff. I didn't have to really switch because I can speak Korean all day. But then, so when he felt like, okay, I just want to speak Korean, he would speak Korean. And then when he wants to speak English, then he would speak, or like ask me like, oh, how do you say this? How do you say that? And stuff. So I didn't know what he looked like, and I'm like, oi, I don't know what the hell you look like. And so I do have a profile picture on Hello Talk, and he didn't. So I was like, oh, I don't know what you look like. And then he's like, oh, okay, I'll send you a picture. And then he sent me a picture. And I'm like, that was too easy. I mean, of course, okay, I didn't ask him for anything crazy. It was just his face. But I'm like, if he can send a picture this easily, why didn't he put a picture on his profile? So I was like, I'm like, something feels off. I need to, like, I'm like, I need to know if this is actually him. And I'm not saying like the picture that he sent me was good looking. Oh my God, wow, no. It was just a normal picture, an average looking guy. But then I just felt like something didn't feel right. And I'm like, okay, I need to see a picture of you, but you have to take a selfie. But what I wanted to say was with a finger heart like this. Take a picture, take a selfie with a finger heart like this, and then send it to me so I will know it's you. Then what was coming out of my mouth was like, take a picture with a spoon and then send it to me. So why, you might ask, is because songkarak and songkarak, the only difference, they sound the same. They're not spelled the same. They sound the same. And then he was confused as to why I'm asking him to take a picture with a spoon. And then he actually went to his kitchen, got a big ass spoon, and took a picture and sent it to me. And I was confused. I was like, what's with the spoon? Why do you have a spoon? And then he's oh, this was hilarious back then. I was like, why do you have a spoon? And then it's like, you asked me to. And I'm like, no, I didn't. And then he's like, no, you did. That's why I kept on asking you why. And I'm like, no, I thought you were just refusing to take a picture. I didn't know. I was saying, like, and then he repeated what I said. And then he's like, you said sutkarak. And I'm like, oh, okay. Shit, my bad. But yeah, I confused those two words, just like how I confused two other words that, like, before. Yeah, anywho. So yeah, Korean just be messing up my brain, and I've been thinking like, I'm making sense, or like saying the right word, but no, I'm always making the wrong word. I'm always saying the wrong word. Anywho. So yeah, we laughed about that, and I'm like, no, I thought I was telling you like, take a picture with a finger heart, not a spoon. And then that was so funny. I was like, wow, Vertun, your brain is something else. So fourth mistake that I remember making was one time. So this is about maybe a year into learning Korean and stuff. And then I had this friend who actually I have met on Hello Talk, but we have been doing language exchange for a whole year and a half ish. Yeah. So we would speak every day, like we would language exchange every day for like 2-3 hours, 4 hours sometimes. And so yeah, we became close friends, and then we would talk every day, and then just so we would speak in Korean, and then like at the end of the conversation, and then we would speak in English all day, and then so yeah, just talk about some random stuff and like just life and stuff. So he would make me speak in Korean, and then he'd be like, "It's for your own good," and I'm like, "Okay, I hear you, okay." Then I would talk about my day and like talk about things I wanted to do, or like people I have met and stuff. So just normal things. So when I am not sure about what I said, or like if it's correct and stuff, I'd say like, "Is what I said okay?" Like, and then he'd say yeah, and then I thought I wanted to make fun, like I wanted to like be cheeky, I suppose, and a bit just I just wanted to be weird, and so I was like, ooh, oppa 맛있어. I want to say, wow, you're so cool, but what came out was like, wow, oppa 맛있어, and 멋있어 means you're cool or handsome sometimes. 맛있어 means delicious. Yeah. I called my friend delicious. And then he freaked out. And then he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Why are you freaking out for? I'm calling you cool." And then he's like, "No, that is not what. No? You said mashiso, not moshiso." I'm like, "Oh no." We were both panicking basically. And I'm like, "No, that's not what I meant. They sound the same, okay?" That was me trying to get out of like the whole situation. And then he's like, "No," and then he's like, "No, mashiso, moshiso. They're not like they're not the same." I'm like, "Yeah, they're the same. It's only minor difference, okay? They sound the same." And then he's like, "No," and then so I'm like, "Okay." Yeah, it happened, so now I'm just gonna call you Mashiso. And then he's like, "No, that's a sexual harassment." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh, because you didn't taste me. How do you know I'm delicious?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." But yeah, no, we were cool. We just talked about random stuff all the time, and like we were silly with each other all the time. So it was nothing new, but that was something else. And I'm like, wow, my brain just keeps going on making mistakes and stuff. And yeah, so that happened. Anywho, fun times. But that's all I got for you. I'm sure I have done a lot more embarrassing stuff. But hey, it's the benefits of learning, eh? Anywho, that's all for today. And I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah. And I'll see you in my next video. Peace.